aren't. Built a home. Oh, I was going to give you the, I don't want to get a copyright. I don't want no copyright strikes.
Mute on. Play.
So we're going to do you like this? This is my natural beauty at work. You like it? Ooh. I like what Elizabeth Taylor said about beauty. She said all women are made from the same parts. And that beauty's not the most important thing. I think she's talking about like
backward. Q.
Oh, Krampus claws. Oh, Krampus claws. How you love to crush their dialogues. And when it comes to Christmas time, I heard every Christmas, I heard that they force convert a rabbi to Christianity, and then they call it the slaying of the worm on the Dune series. He comes down like a Grinch, beholding the state of the Christians, intending to fully destroy this horrible construct, and then he turns into something. It's Jack Skellington's the same story. There's this guy who's like totally hates Christmas, and then he's like, oh. Do you want to know why I think people go Nazi sometimes? What happens? The psychological basis of it? I'll tell you two things. The first thing is that I think it's like any other... this is going to get me in so much trouble on YouTube. It's the equivalent of a nervous breakdown. It's being confronted with something like... It'd be like finding out that someone took you to Christmas Town and got you all excited about it, but Christmas Town burned down or something like that, and then you had a nervous breakdown. I know that doesn't make me very popular to say that, does it? Oh, I really wanted to borrow a dialogue here and share the wonders with you here. This is a Ancient Aliens episode on nuclear stuff. Nuclear stuff. Oh my God. Nuclear stuff. Yes, nuclear stuff. Nuclear stuff. Who talks about nuclear stuff? Oh my God, look at his haircut. No, it wasn't this. It was the frosting. I haven't seen anyone frost their hair like that in a while. I'm not making fun. Hold on, I'll show you guys. It was an Ancient Aliens hairdo thing. I don't want to get a copyright, so we're just going to whisk past it real quick. Not him, although he may have a light frosting. Back in the day when people would put streaks in their hair, they would say that they got their hair frosted. We're not making fun. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it was very stunning. Okay, I'm going to play it outside of the line of sight so that you can't see. Oh, Krampus claws. Oh, Krampus claws. I know there's like, what dialogues are you promising to crush? Well... Anyways. So we were going to do the ancient aliens with mute on. And the McDonald's. Okay, so this swim. Oh, don't you love when people use swim? I love swim. It's a great, it could be me, it could be someone else. Swim went out to get McDonald's and was like, you know what? Something, this is going to make more viewers stay. What are you about? If you don't stay over this, then who cares what you stay over? I was imagining the great morning we were going to have together whilst I was eating my amazing... No, I haven't gotten one of these for a while. But through the screen. Essentially, let's take your... do you feel like staring at Christmas trees? Or do you want to go back to... So what are we going to do? It turns out in one of my many moods, I found myself giving a video recommending that people convert to Christianity. Not necessarily that you should do it. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm saying recommending that if you want to just do whatever you want and infiltrate the ranks, then all you have to do is convert. Do the leaders of Christianity believe what they teach? No. They tell one thing to the congregants, they'll tell another thing to you. So if they don't really believe it, and if they wouldn't take the position of the other people within their own group, then like, hey, what do you mean by that? I mean, like, say team, and you're given the proposition, like, hey, you want to, be someone else who's in your group besides yourself? They'd be like, hell no. I wouldn't want to be under my leadership. Exactly. You only want to be your leadership. You don't want to be exposed to your own self. And that's why you're part of Christianity. And what's the highest goal of Christianity? There's two highest goals that they state. It's to make converts. Come on, I'm trying to get this so that you could really see the Christmas tree. To make converts and to have children that can make converts. There's no emphasis on the moment, except for that the moment is there for convert making or baby making if the babies are going to serve Jesus. But you can do anything you want. I mean, if you embrace a Christianity, a doctrine of Christianity, you can do anything you want. What? If you sell out, you become a Christian, you can do anything you want. What? Yes, you can do anything you want. Not to me. I don't mean it like that. Okay, so let me change it. You can't do anything you want. But if you become a Christian, you can do all of the things that you can conceive of within a reasonable parameter for 90% of people. Like 90% of people will go along with you. Because the Stanley Milgram study shows that people are hardwired to go with the strongest leader. And they'll just turn, it doesn't matter, you can spend a lifetime achievement somewhere teaching them the Abrahamic religions and thou shalt not kill. But if you put them in front of a strange new leader, whether they're, according to the Stanley Milgram study, this is not my personal opinion, according to the Stanley Milgram study, you could raise 57% of people in an Abrahamic religion telling them that they will not kill and teaching them all day long. But if you put them with Dr. Stanley Milgram, one of his experimenters, and the peer group, then in less than 40 minutes, you're going to have 90% of them will capitulate to do exactly what you want, including shocking another person to death. So if 90% of people will capitulate under the combined pressure of peer pressure and authority, then 90% of people are just looking for someone to give them an excuse to act crazy within a peer group. And if you give them that excuse and you give them that permission, 90% of people will give you whatever you want within a framework. Within reason. What do you mean by that? Well, okay. So if Jesus is simply the tipping point of society, it's just a 10% of tipping point of society study, the minimum number to get other people, 90% of humanity to obey everything you want, regardless of whether you're right or wrong, and whatever that even means. The minimum number is 10%. So if 10% of people staunchly stick to their opinion, even when challenged, they'll automatically get the 90% on board. What does it mean? It means that it's showing you that the repeatable effects of the Stanley Milgram study are, in fact, repeatable. Like if you consider something scientific, if you can repeat it in a scientific study and get the same results over and over again, right? Well, these two studies, there you go. What that means is if you wanted to make the 10% of society pagan, you could make Jesus pagan. So like morning, if I came up with a doctrine that made up a pagan Jesus, where Jesus was no longer meant Jesus, but it was an acronym and an anagram for juice, and I somehow said juice came from Dr. Seuss, just like P that rhymes with T, it stands for pool, and I was like, well, juice must stand for Seuss, and so green eggs and Sam means that everybody should be pagan, man. And so all Christians now, the new form of Christianity, if I did this tomorrow and I could get 10% of people to stick with me on it staunchly, if we decided that everybody was going to be pagan, then 10% of people could rephrase Jesus tomorrow morning as a pagan god that he always was, and an idol as he always was. Why would Moses have called him an idol in the wilderness? Okay. So then an idol really doesn't work with old paganism in some ways, but you can just change it to make it work, right? So then the new god will be the pagan god who's just pagan and likes all the gods, and the gods are all whatever, and then Jesus is that new god. Then guess what would happen? If Jesus wasn't even a real name, it was just a name that meant we are the 10% pagans, strong and proud. And I told you, and if I told you that, right, and I taught you every strand stands strong and proud with the 10% of people not backing down that Jesus is in fact a pagan deity, always was. That's why they slaughtered a fucking pig on the altar to Zeus in the temple, in the supposedly, think about it this way. if it wasn't true, then if God had a temple in Jerusalem and it was supposed to be the most holy place on the entire earth, right? At one Bible talks about it real funny. And like they say that God just doesn't, anything that God allows, then God must have wanted it, right? Well, what did they do? They took down the temple in Jerusalem. They took down the altar to Yahweh, and they erected an altar to Zeus right in the heart of the temple, and they slaughtered a pig. No, not just before the Maccabees rebellion. I know that this happened in the BC realms, but this also happened apparently in like 70 AD. They say that Titus slaughtered a pig in the holy temple to Zeus, on the altar to Zeus, and subsequently there was riots and fires that some will say it was related, others will say it wasn't. Some will say it was like the Bolshevik Revolution from within, and that good old Titus and his pig were part of it, and that they got everything on fire. Others will say it was the other side, whatever. But they caught everything on fire, and good old Jerusalem started burning into the ground and down with the temple. And so all this gold melted, and this gold that melted went and spread in between the rocks of the temple. And then people took the rocks apart one by one. So I could easily say that Zeus is clearly part of a pagan pantheon deity. And if, your supposed force allows the pulling down and the tearing down of the temple of Yahweh for over 2,000 years in order to erect a standard to Zeus, which is what they did. They put Zeus in the most holy temple, and then they slaughtered a pig on the altar. And so we could easily say that when you say Jesus, you could really just call it an anagram. So instead of J-E-S-U-S, it could be like Dr. Seuss with a J. J-U-E-S-S, juice, which sounds like rhymes with Seuss. And if you don't like green eggs and ham, then oh well, you're going to eat them, Sam I am, because we're all going to be pagans now. Because clearly that was the message the entire time, because all it means is the tipping point of society, and so I can make it say and do whatever I want. As a matter of fact, I was here last night because I've always found such refuge from Jesus and my animals were like, hey, we are also Jesus. And I was like, why? I actually woke up arguing with animals, and I was like, I love animals, don't make them into Jesus. And they're like, we already, space animals, act like Jesus. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they said, look, it's clearly written in the studies that if you have a dog or feasibly even a cat that's in your house with you, that apparently it's like having an extra 70 grand in the bank immediately, for virtue of your feelings. You don't even have to have the extra 70 grand in the bank. But you feel like you have an extra 70 grand in the bank, and that you're married to someone who's like top notch. That's what I read in a study. You go look the study up, and if you don't like it, go talk to people everywhere who they apparently studied in order to get the results. So it's like, okay, so then you're right. If the dog can immediately uniformly cause people to have the experience as if they had extra 70 grand in the bank and they were in a good relationship, well, then you're right. The dogs and the cats and the animals have been influencing as well. So in some circumstances, they also could be Jesus. So now we have animal Jesus. And besides that, shouldn't there have been a dog Jesus in the first place? Do you know how many people are mean to their dogs all the time? And how many dogs suffer for dogs being in domesticity? Yes, some dogs have also suffered and been martyred in the cause of domestication of the human race. Now, so we could also call them, I'm not saying in the cause of domestication. I wouldn't say that's the cause. We don't have a clearly defined cause over here. Point is anybody can be Jesus. Let's watch our TV show.
Play.
The pagan Jesus. If you don't believe me, why would the Apostle Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 5:22, well, let's go through the entire Thessalonians, he tells the people that, he tells them they should be children of the light and walk in the day as children of the light without the darkness. And I was like, then why did Abraham and Moses talk to God in a thick blackness? Why did David say that
all his friends dwelled in darkness, or rather it can be translated that darkness was his only friend. And then why does Hebrew poetry say the same thing two different ways? The darkness hovered over the deep and the Spirit of God was over the face of the waters. Sounds like the darkness is the Spirit of God, bro. What about the yin-yang symbol? How did Moses then lead the children of Israel in the day by a black pillar cloud, by a black thing, and then at night by a white light? So then when you say you're children of the light, it sounds like, and you're not of the darkness, it sounds like you're trying to pull yourself away from anything related to the previous entries of the Bible, the Apostle Paul. Then further in 1 Thessalonians 5:22-23, he says he wants to present them blameless, meaning that he considers those who are of the blackness and of the Spirit and to be full of blame. Perhaps a table is prepared before you in the presence of your enemies. Perhaps God's the one who put the lying spirit in their mouth. Maybe he created darkness and good. I don't know. Just don't listen to Isaiah if you don't like it.
I don't care. I'm not trying to be religious. I know it does not matter being right or wrong. I've been thinking about something. The very real prospect that since people have been taught the 3D law of attraction on a wide scale base, has the world become a better or worse? I'm not telling you an answer or that there is one. I'm just asking you a question. Do you think it's become a better or a worse place, or is it about the same? No, it's one thing to just get to this point and say, I wouldn't have been born, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't even be aware of this if my ancestors weren't the worst of the worst. Same for you. Same for you. Same for anybody. So, like, look at the way this is, purportedly the way the system is ran on Earth. It looks like, don't quote me on this, but it looks like the people who would have protested this kind of system have been killed systemically for thousands and thousands of years, or neutralized according to archaeology. Meaning archaeology says that, okay, they've been studying underneath. Hi there, one person. Oh, and look, they went away right when I saw them. Right, somebody wrote the Bible is the book of multiple choice. Right, righto. It's like a choose your own adventure chapter book. Very good. It was the Archbishop Richard Foreskin. Archbishop Richard Foreskin. What Paul said is a claim. Do you remember somebody asked her what were the commandments that Moses dropped? Apparently the one having to do with idols and worshiping men. Because when he got down on his face and he worshipped Jethro, it says he shakad him. He actually worshipped him. Further, he wasn't allowed in the promised land, but some think it was a preemptive act. What else? Oh, the one about not making idols and not fashioning idols. He fashioned a bronze serpent in the wilderness. What was I saying anyway? Oh, I guess it's no biggie. It was something having to do with the people who've died. Oh, archaeology. Under every major city in the Middle East, when they dig in archaeologically, they find a mass human grave. It just means that they've been killing off. Archaeology reports are saying that the cornerstone of hierarchy or civilization is mass human sacrifice. So if Jesus is identifying both as a multitude of people who are killed for the progress of society and as the people who replace them, the Jesus Christ superstar, and anybody else you want to put in the box. Okay, so to the ancient aliens, it's just that I'm going to turn it on and I don't want to get a copyright strike. And I feel like I don't know if you guys are going to be the kind of people who some other people that I have been playing ancient aliens in the background whilst making videos. I was very pleased to see the Archbishop Bishop Forskin. Archbishop Richard Forskin. How do you say his name?